All of it is converging. Their plan is coming together. As I sit here and take in all of the news from every direction, all I see is deceivers, liars, corporate media, cover-ups, agenda, all pushing the same propaganda. It's time for a game changer, a visionary, an innovative person who changes the way that people think of the situations. It's time for Game Changer TV, telling it like it is. Get in the game. Thanks for tuning in to Game Changer TV. I'm your host, Terri Lynn, and this is the channel where every day we're telling it like it is. Today is May 23rd, 2025, and I apologize. I have not made a video in, I don't know, like a week. It's just been crazy with my car broken down, having to walk to the store, having to walk places, trying to redirect Josh, not having a vehicle to go somewhere, having to make a quick turnaround trip to Georgia within 26 hours, 1,400 miles. It's just been nonstop. So now I'm like 43 videos behind, and every single one of them are important. But these are some headlines that I want to throw out there to let y'all see just how clearly everything is coming together. 2025 is going to be insane. And our days of being able to point out the obvious and to expose their game are about to come to an end. So please pay attention to what they're about to do and how all this is connected together and what it means. I just feel like the urgency is to say, to have a plan, because we know about supply issues. We know about threats of cyber attacks. We know about threats of the economic collapse. To try to stay out of their system as much as possible, to be self-reliant as much as possible. And I would say get to wherever you need to go, because not this video, but the next video that I'm trying to work on, you'll see how serious the time is that we're in. But let's look at all these headlines and how this is coming together. And if you can see the big picture, it is the time to be sober and vigilant. Let's jump into this. What is convergence? The coming together or joining or becoming similar, where everything comes together, merging from different avenues, different backgrounds, all meeting together at a specific point. And this is where we're at. Here, I like this one. The act of converging and especially moving towards a union or uniformity. Let's look at these headlines.
There is a plot in the country to enslave every man, woman and child. Before I leave this high and noble office, I intend to expose this plot. 7 days later, he died. The stuff that's going on around us today just doesn't make any sense. And as we go through this presentation, you'll start to realize why it doesn't make any sense. And that all of this is not by accident. That all of this misery and strife in the world today is actually by design.
In true fifth generation warfare, you do not know who your opponent is. Example, who is responsible for who's the puppet master behind the COVID crisis as we've experienced it? Who is it? Anybody here know? Was it Klaus? No. There's something above Klaus. Was it Biden? Was it Tony Fauci? These are all surrogates. Okay? You don't really know who is managing the message that has been propagated on you. That's fifth generation warfare. Over the last 3 years, Western governments, non-governmental organizations, transnational organizations, pharmaceutical industry corporations, media and financial corporations have cooperated via public-private partnerships, which I assert is a euphemism for fascism, to deploy the most massive, globally harmonized psychological and propaganda operation in the history of the world. Okay? Over the last 3 years, you have been subjected to the most massive, harmonized, globally coordinated propaganda campaign in the history of the Western world. Full stop. With this campaign, the governments of many Western nation states have turned, okay, this is key, military-grade psychological operations strategies, tactics, technologies, and capabilities developed for modern military combat against their own citizens. These are inconvenient facts. The world that many of us believed existed no longer exists, if it ever did.
Just when you thought things couldn't get any worse, something happens that makes you ask the question, what in the world is actually happening? Am I dreaming? Is this all a reality? Well, I'm here to break it to you guys. It is a reality, and I found something that most people won't even believe is real. But it is real, and I'm going to share it with you today. Ladies and gentlemen, they've actually done it. The globalists, the technocrat, the mad scientists who are building these things have crossed the line. They built a computer not out of silicone and wires like normal computers, no, but out of human brain cells. That's right. You heard me right. Living human brain cells. This thing is called the CL1, and it's straight out of a dystopian nightmare. And I've got the article right here, and we are going to read it. We're going to tear it apart, and then we're going to connect some dots to Bible prophecy, demonic forces, and what this means for you and your family. So let's get into it. So what is the CL1? Well, I'll tell you one thing. It's not your grandpa's Commodore 64. No, the CL1 was cooked up by some occultists in Australia. Computer scientists in Australia at a place called Cortical Labs. They're literally growing human brain cells in the lab. It's like some sort of freaky Frankenstein experiment. And they're sticking these human brain cells onto a silicone chip. I can't even believe I'm saying this right now, guys, but it's happening right now. They say it's the world's first code-deployable biological computer, and it's going to cost you $35,000. It ships later this year, and get this, it stays alive for 6 months in this box that they have it equipped with life support. They literally have to put life support systems into this computer box to keep it alive. They even got it hooked up to something called the Biological Intelligence Operating System. It's like some sort of fancy way of saying that they're playing God, right? They're creating this living organism inside of a box. I'm not making this up, folks. This is real. Quote, world's first body in a box. Biological computer uses human cells with silicone-based computing. March 6th, 2025. Cortical Labs says the CL1 will be available from June, priced at around $35,000.
This is the world's first commercial biological computer, running on living human cells. The CL1 computer is the brainchild of Melbourne-based Cortical Labs.
This is where the neurons would be embedded in.
CEO and founder Han-Wang Chong says it fuses cell-derived neurons with silicon, creating a new class of AI known as synthetic biological intelligence.
Unlike using artificial neural networks, we grow real biological neurons into networks onto computer chips.
It sounds like science fiction, but Han says the CL1 is capable of learning and adapting faster than standard silicon-based AI, while consuming significantly less energy.
We take blood or skin and we can transform them into stem cells, and from stem cells into brain cells or neurons that we then use them for compute and intelligence.
Han says the neurons grow on silicon chip with tiny electrical contacts connecting them to the digital hardware. And it's equipped with an artificial life support system to keep the cells healthy.
We have pumps like the heart, waste feeding reservoirs, filtration units like the kidneys, and we have a gas mixer to take carbon dioxide, oxygen, and nitrogen.
Han says the CL1 could revolutionize drug testing and personalized medicine.
With this kind of technology, we potentially could grow neurons taken from patients with, say, a dementia or with epilepsy, and test compounds and drugs that would then be personalized and tailored to that patient.
But Han believes the CL1's potential doesn't end there, saying it could usher in a new age of AI.
In the short term is we can use it for life sciences, for personalized medicine, for drug discovery and development. But the longer term vision of the company here is to pioneer a new form of computing where we can actually use these neurons that can process information with much quicker speed, with much less data, and with much more energy efficiency, so that we can get to intelligence, but without the significant cost associated with it.
A new research paper has been published by scientists in Switzerland. They say they can send electric commands directly to human DNA, meaning they can make human genes obey external commands.
An electrogenetic interface. That's what scientists at the ETH Zurich University are calling their new discovery. They have found a way to talk to human DNA, to give human genes commands using electricity. Thus the name electrogenetic.
Direct brain-computer interfaces, replacing organic hands with bionic hands, adding to the body a second immune system, which is not organic but an inorganic immune system, made up of millions of tiny nanorobots inside your body.
So let's just get into this, and I'd like to take you through the patents that are on Moderna's website. So there's a patent entitled Modified Polynucleotides for the Production of Secreted Proteins. This is one of the master patents for what they're calling mRNA vaccines. Right in the abstract, it describes that the lipid nanoparticles have a particle size between 80 and 160 nanometers, and it contains modified mRNA encoding a polypeptide. It includes a cationic lipid, a neutral lipid, a cholesterol, and a pegylated lipid. What they're calling lipids actually host cationic charges. They host.
A new research paper has been published by scientists in Switzerland. They say they can send electric commands directly to human DNA, meaning they can make human genes obey external commands.
This past week, an MIT review, they want to do is take out the neural functions. It's a human without feeling, without thinking, without ideas. It's just what MIT calls in this review a spare body, a spare tire, bodyoids.
MIT scientists want to grow human bodies dubbed bodyoids. Now, these bodyoids are physiologically identical to humans, yet scientists insist that they are not conscious and they can feel no pain. Scientists are stating that ethically sourced spare bodies could revolutionize medicine through things like organ donation. These bodyoids are not only intended to provide medical miracles, they can be used as meat for consumption.
All right, so here's the article. So MIT Technological Review, it's ethically sourced spare human bodies could revolutionize medicine. Human bodyoids. So remember that word. And here it says, recent advances in biotechnology now provides a pathway to produce living human bodies without the neural components that allow us to think, be aware, or feel pain. And then maybe one day we'll be able to create spare bodies.
Are bodyoids similar to body yachties?
If they could get these cordyceps to control this, I'm sure you can see some body yachties. Reading this past week, an MIT.
So here it is out of the Daily Mail. The real Frankenstein's lab. Scientists want to grow spare human bodies and claim they could revolutionize medicine. This is out of the Mirror, out of the UK. Scientists want to grow spare humans, dubbed bodyoids, to help make meat and medicine. Human meat. Human meat. From bodies grown that don't have a brain, supposedly, or don't have brain cells, supposedly, but it's a spare body with every single thing else. How's the body going to function without a brain? To provide meat, for meat source, for sustainability. This is from The Sun, over my dead body. Spare human bodies grown in artificial labs, in artificial wombs in lab, as scientists insist bodyoids feel no pain and can serve as meat. The researchers, who are demonized, who have no moral compass, insisted on moving forward with the revolutionary plan. Cutting edge. People have lost their mind. They've lost their way. They've lost their fear of God. They've lost human decency. Cutting edge scientists have unveiled a disturbing plan to grow soulless, spare human bodies that can be used for medical experiments, even meat. So let's get your notebook out with all the crazy things that they're doing in science, with all the experimentations, with the vaccines, with the DNA, how they're wanting to control humans, control your DNA, make your DNA respond to their commands, growing fake bodies. Wait till all this comes together with the other stuff. Let's keep going. Now, April 7th, about a month ago, the World Health Organization ran another 2-day pandemic preparedness exercise, just like they did with Event 201 in October before the March rollout of the scamdemic. Well, last month, the World Health Organization ran another 2-day tabletop simulation called Exercise Polaris. Last week, the World Health Organization ran a 2-day pandemic preparedness exercise dubbed Exercise Polaris. The exercise was the first test for a new global coordination mechanism to tackle health emergencies and simulated an outbreak of a fictional viral disease. And this comes right before the World Health Organization passed their global pandemic agreement. So they're running their simulation, and 173 out of the 190 countries all just signed on to this World Health Organization new global treaty on how to respond globally to the next pandemic. 3 days ago, the world now has its first pandemic treaty. Will it make a difference? And I can hear the people on the choo-choo Trump train that are saying, see, but Trump withdrew us from the World Health Organization, so this is not going to affect us because we've got an American first president, and President Trump, the best thing since sliced bread that God sent to us, he cares about us, and he withdrew us from the World Health Organization. Or did he? So I was reading this. The member states of the World Health Organization voted overwhelmingly to adopt the first ever pandemic agreement, a treaty aimed at preventing, preparing for, and responding to any future pandemic. After 3 years of tough negotiations, no country voted against the agreement at the World Health Organization's annual meeting. The United States, now this is the part I want you to hear. Did Trump really get out? Listen to this. The United States did not attend this meeting because of President Trump's intent to withdraw from the World Health Organization membership. His intent. We're going to get to that. Look at this. World Health Organization adopts pandemic treaty expanding its power over disease management worldwide. The World Health Assembly, the World Health Organization that is funded by Bill Gates, made up of its state members, formally adopted the pandemic agreement on Tuesday, an international legal document that commits signatories to sharing medical technology and expanding vaccination campaigns and promoting equity. Tedros said, the world is safer today thanks to the leadership, collaboration, and commitment of our member states to adopt the historic World Health Organization pandemic treaty. So I went and looked up Trump's withdrawal from World Health Organization. Yes, the United States officially withdrew from the World Health Organization January 23rd, 2026. Huh? Timeline of events. January 20th, 2025, President Trump, on his first day of his second term, signed an executive order initiating the withdrawal process, which required a 1-year notice period. So that means we're still in it until 2026. The withdrawal officially took effect, marking the end of the 1-year notice. That's going to be in 2026. But y'all, guess what that means? That the United States can withdraw their formal request to exit. We could enter back in this. Can the World Health Organization Pandemic Treaty hold the United States to compliance? The World Health Organization Pandemic Treaty, formerly known as the World Health Organization Pandemic Agreement, is a legally binding international instrument intended to strengthen global cooperation on pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response. Whether it can hold the United States to compliance, however, depends on several factors. The United States participation and ratification. We could sign on to it. We've got till January before we're not a member. Crucially, the United States is currently not a signatory on the treaty. The Trump administration initiated the U.S. withdrawal from the World Health Organization, and the current U.S. Health Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., has publicly criticized the treaty and the World Health Organization. Even if the U.S. were to rejoin the World Health Organization, it would still need to sign and ratify the pandemic agreement for it to be legally binding domestically. Ratification typically requires 2/3 majority vote in the U.S. Senate. This process can be complex and politically challenging. While the treaty aims to promote global cooperation, its success depends on the willingness of individual nations, including the United States, to actively participate and adhere to its provisions. And I can hear the people on the woo-woo Trump train say, oh, Trump would never re-sign us back on because him and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. are anti-vaxxers. They're against it. Trump, who calls himself the father of the vaccine that has killed people, called himself the father of it, Operation Warp Speed, who told Megyn Kelly he did not get enough credit for the COVID vaccine. And now, May 1st, 3 weeks ago, Health and Human Services, this is from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS and NIH launch next generation universal vaccine platform for pandemic-prone viruses. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and National Institute of Health today announced the development of the next generation universal vaccine platform, Generation Gold Standard, using a beta. Oh, when I saw gold, let me say the gold standard. That reminded me of, I didn't put it in this video, Trump wanting to build, instead of an iron dome over the United States, the gold dome. And he's filling up the White House with all gold decorations. And now we have the gold standard for vaccines. And we just announced that we're going to have a universal vaccine for the flu and for COVID. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Wall Street Journal, bets $500 million on universal vaccines in a shift. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. funds universal vaccines for flu and COVID. The U.S. to develop universal vaccines to target multiple virus strains. We are not out of the virus business. So, what would it take for us to re-enter this pandemic treaty? Bill Gates to throw money? Threats to be made? From Reuters, U.S. Health Agency said on Thursday that they are seeking to develop a universal vaccine technology to target multiple strains of different viruses, such as influenza and coronaviruses, in a project the Wall Street Journal reportedly included $500 million in government investment. The project, which the United States Department of Health and Human Services is calling the Generation Gold Standard, aims to develop a universal vaccine technology that protects against multiple strains of a virus at once. Oh, yeah, and then Trump's got the gold card for rich illegals that they can buy and come into America. Is Trump's America first? He doesn't want to share his glory with anybody else? Are we developing our own responses to the flu and coronaviruses? Or will we re-enter this? Let's keep going. Country singer John Rich, this is from April 7th, 2025, last month, says he had to explain to Donald Trump in 2022 why his Trump supporters were booing him every time he mentioned the COVID jabs. Country music star John Rich shared on Monday a stunning conversation he had with President Donald Trump in 2022 that convinced the then former president to stop taking credit for the COVID shots. During an interview with Try That in a Small Town podcast, John Rich, a vocal conservative, described a dinner he attended with Trump and several Republican senators in 2022. At that time, the former president was holding large rallies with up to 40,000 people. But one thing about the crowds was troubling him. Quote, this is John Rich. He goes, "Why are my people booing me at my rallies when I bring up the vaccine?" John Rich said. He noted that Trump was still very proud at that point that he had brought the COVID products to the people at warp speed. After the COVID mRNA shots were rolled out in 2021, Western nations saw dramatic increases in myocarditis, blood clots, and neurological disorders, and many other previously rare ailments. Here's John Rich. Here's a guy, to his own admission, one of the biggest egos on earth, John Rich said, adding that because he respected Trump, he would answer the question honestly. I looked at him and I said, "Okay, I'm going to tell you the answer and you're not going to like it," Rich said. Let me start off by saying this. We, the American people, do not trust the people you are forced to trust at the time when this was happening, he recalled telling the president. He said he explained to Trump that he was talking about the public health officials at the FDA, CDC, NIH, World Health Organization, Anthony Fauci, and all the rest of them. I said, "Mr. President, we consider them to be a bunch of murderous depopulationist psychopaths," he continued. Rich said Trump looked at him and said, "Unbelievable." He was stunned. Oh, I'm sure he was. The musician told his host, who were laughing at his impression of Donald Trump. Rich said he went on to tell President Trump that he would boo him too if he had brought up COVID shots. He told the host that at this point he figured he would be the last time Trump would invite him to say anything because he loves throwing massive shade on what in Trump's mind was one of the biggest accomplishments. I said, "Here's why they're booing you, Mr. President. Because every one of those human beings out there in that rally, either themselves or they know someone directly who has been harmed by the vaccine or who has even died from it, including me," he said, adding that he told Trump he has members of his own family who were forced to take it against their will to keep their jobs, and now they've got all kinds of problems, including major heart and lung problems. And I told y'all my middle son was diagnosed with MS. He was 20 years old and he went and took it. He was living at his grandparents' house while I'm dealing with Josh, his father's parents, and they all went and took the vaccine. Shortly after that, that son was diagnosed with MS and he's losing his eyesight. My ex-brother-in-law died the next year after he got it. And now here we are, March 1st, 2025, Trump in his second administration, after John Rich said, "Sir, this is why they're booing you. They don't like you and your stance on vaccines." And while people are clapping, "Oh, we're not in World Health Organization." But here we are. We could go back into it. And now we are developing our own universal multi-use vaccines. from the father of the vaccines. Let's look at some of the global deadlines coming up. What global deadline is in September 2025? The main global deadline in September 2025 is the deadline for countries to submit their updated nationally determined contributions to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. These NDCs, required under the Paris Agreement, outline each country's plan for reducing emissions and addressing climate change. The UN originally set a deadline for February 10th, 2025, but extended it to September. Now it's going to be sometime in September. I can't find the date, but it's going to be September. What is the UN global deadline in June? The UN has several deadlines in June 2025, including the UN Ocean Conference in Nice, France, from June 9th to June 13th, another high-level conference on the two-state solution in New York, June 17th through June 20th, and the deadline for registration 2025 UN Ocean Conference. So these are things that we need to be writing down. This is from UN Watch, United Nations Watch. Background to June 2025 UN Conference on Two-State Solution. The UN has scheduled a high-level conference on the two-state solution to give Israel and Palestine their own nations. As detailed below, the main aim of the conference is to obtain recognition of a Palestinian state from UN member states. This represents a bad faith attempt by the Palestinians to circumvent the Oslo Accords, the treaty that governs their relationship with Israel. In June 2025, the UN is expected. Now, Trump just came back from Saudi Arabia a few weeks ago in May. And Saudi Arabia is going to be involved with this high-level discussion on the two-state solution to recognize Palestine, who's the enemies with Israel, that we're supposed to be allies to. And Trump was over there kissing up to Saudi Arabia, turned his back on Israel. Now Saudi Arabia is going to the UN to push for a two-state solution. And Trump did not go see Netanyahu, but let's read this. In June 2025, the UN is expected to hold a high-level conference on the two-state solution between Israel and Palestine. This conference, co-chaired by France and Saudi Arabia, aims to address the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and explore ways to implement the two-state solution, divide the land. The UN has consistently reaffirmed its support for the two-state solution as the only way to achieve lasting peace and security for both Israelis and Palestinians. What's the Bible say? When they're saying peace, peace, then suddenly destruction is about to come upon you. Saudi Arabia, France to impose Palestinian state without Israel's input. From Biometric Update, May 13th, 10 days ago. Israel seeks funding for plan to require facial recognition in exchange for food in Gaza. Israeli cabinet has approved a controversial plan to recognize and put new limits on the distribution of food aid in Gaza, including a requirement to perform facial recognition. Now, wait till this goes worldwide. If you've been a bad little boy or bad little girl, you're not getting no food. 3 days ago, out of Canada, Canada moves to begin euthanizing children without parental consent. We thought it was bad that schools could change your children's gender without your consent. Now Canada wants to kill your children without your consent. And it's even worse than that. Listen to this. Now, y'all know I have an autistic son. Listen to this. The globalist Canadian government has launched a campaign to promote a new push to begin euthanizing children with mental health issues without their parents' consent. So you've got a low intellectual functioning child that has mental health disorders, they can tell their doctor or their school council that they want to die, and they will make arrangements. Their wish is the doctor's command or something like that. Can you believe? Can you believe? It's bad enough minors, but people, children with mental health disorders that aren't able to rationally and functionally think on their own, who have been legitimately diagnosed as having mental health issues, the government in Canada is moving to kill them without against the parents' wishes. There's no more parental rights. The governments are taking control over every single person. 2 days ago, out of lifenews.com, radio show host says that mentally ill people should be euthanized. This is out of Canada. Tristan Hopper reported for the National Post on May 21st. He said that doctor-assisted suicide could be a form of liberation of the mentally ill. Oh, don't that sound like Hitler? Taking out the mentally ill, the undesirables? Children, y'all, people with a straight face saying, let's kill the vulnerable, mentally ill children in our society against their parents' wishes. Think about that. What if your kid wanted to do something harmful and you were fighting the government to keep it from happening? And the government is going full steam ahead to do to your child against your will. So April 16, 2025, it was reported Colorado bill would strip custody from parents who misgender their children. If you call Johnny Johnny and Johnny wants to be called a boy named Sue, and you don't want to call Johnny a boy named Sue, they're coming to take your child away. This was proposed in April, okay? The Colorado House of Representatives has passed a bill that would create legal grounds for the state to strip custody from parents who legislators say misgender their children. The bill would make using a person's name given at birth, so mama, you gave birth to little Johnny. The school's done got in little Johnny's head. He's not little Johnny. He's a boy named Sue. You can't have a conversation with your little Johnny because the school's done convinced little Johnny that he is Sue. And if you try to say, little Johnny, let's sit down and talk to each other, you are going to get arrested and have the kid taken from you. But that was just a bill, right? Surely that didn't pass. Let's see what's going to happen. Colorado may be the parental rights canary in the coal mine. State on course to impose the most totalitarian legal destruction of families in America. And he's openly gay, and he lives in the Colorado governor's mansion with his, quote, husband. Some may look at the pending Colorado legislation destroying parental rights and wrongly, what, they're going to take your kid and give it to one of their friends? Some may look at the pending Colorado legislation destroying parental rights and wrongly see the last gaps of a dying woke regime. The dystopian state House bill HB 251312, or better known as the Kelly Loving Act, allows the Colorado government to remove a child from her parents if her parents refuse to go along with her gender dysphoria and self-styled new identity. It represents the most totalitarian legal destruction of parental rights in American history. All of this is going on all around us. The world is changing.
Is all about instituting the United Nations as that one global authority that's going to dictate everything.
They are obsessed with the idea that there are too many of us on this planet.
The Sustainable Development Goals at the very heart are communist goals. And the real question is, why?
Let's legalize corruption, but it's called donating money to political campaigns.
I mean, why is the Rockefeller Foundation so invested in the LGBTQ movement? Has nothing to do with what the Rockefeller Foundation is about.
There's always been a group of people that thought they had a level of intelligence that was so unique that they needed to dominate the world.
History is truly at a turning point.
But if these megalomaniacs get their way with their one world political and economic system that they're trying to build, a lot of us won't wake up. Those who do wake up really can look forward to a future of slavery.
There's no other path out of this mess than for the American people to become educated enough to act in a way that will create genuine reform.
Reform's not going to change it. It's here. It's rolled out.
So let's narrow down on Agenda 2030. It's a global plan of action for the world. 193 countries signed that plan in 2015 in New York at the UN, and they're all obliged to implement this plan. It's based on Agenda 21, adopted by 178 countries in 1992 in the Earth Summit in Rio. It is a global framework for international cooperation to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure prosperity for all. It sounds great, right? It covers food, farming, agriculture, natural resources, climate, environment, money, CBDC, health, vaccines, pharma, social, like diversity and inclusion, gender equality, family, sexual education for children too early, education, cities, urban life, 15-minute cities, transportations, governance, wars, they actually call it peace, tech or AI, speech and information, so that it covers all of life. It's made out of 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. You can go to their website, sdg.un.org, and read each one of these 17 SDGs in detail. The deeper you go into it, the more you realize that there is a plan here that aspires to tighten control over humanity while eliminating the individual and their rights.
About a month ago, April 24, 2025, Trump's executive order calls for artificial intelligence to be taught in the schools. And guess what is one of the sustainable development goals are? Is AI in schools a UN sustainability goal? Yes, the use of AI in schools and education can be seen as contributing. So Donald Trump is contributing to the UN Sustainability Development Goal, SDG number 4. So Trump, who projects himself as being an anti-globalist, is going right along with everything the UN is wanting to do, and the World Health Organization and the World Economic Forum. He's passing their legislation as it's his idea, but it's going right along with what they're wanting to do. May 1st, 2025, Sam Altman's eye-scanning crypto project launches in the United States. Y'all, all this is converging together. World Economic Forum, the cyber threats to watch in 2025, and other cybersecurity news to know this month. Can biometrics protect against cyber attacks? Yes, biometrics can offer a stronger defense against cyber attacks. So where do you think we're going? This is from a few years ago, but here's their plan.
Boldly, we're about to abandon the traditional system of money and accounting and introduce a new one. And the new accounting is what we call blockchain. It means digital. It means having a almost perfect record of every single transaction that happens in the economy, which will give us far greater clarity over what's going on. It also raises huge dangers in terms of the balance of power between states and citizens. In my opinion, we're going to need a digital constitution of human rights if we're going to have digital money. But also, this new money will be sovereign in nature. Most people think that digital money is crypto and private, but what I see are superpowers introducing digital currency. The Chinese were the first. The U.S. is on the brink, I think, of moving in the same direction. I'll say this.
The part that got me was when she said, perhaps we're going to be needing a new constitutional for our rights if we adopt digital currency. So what does that make me think? That makes me think that we're probably going to implantable money for there to be a constitution for our rights if digital money is adopted? Let's hear that part.
Boldly, we're about to abandon the traditional system of money and accounting and introduce a new one. And the new accounting is what we call blockchain. It means digital. It means having a almost perfect record of every single transaction that happens in the economy, which will give us far greater clarity over what's going on. It also raises huge dangers in terms of the balance of power between states and citizens. In my opinion, we're going to need a digital constitution of human rights if we're going to have digital money.
Now, why would you need a new constitution to protect your human rights for digital money? Think about where this is going. All this is converging right now. The future of finance is your necked wallet and implanted chip. Implanted payments technology turns people into walking, talking bio wallets. We have another deadline coming up in November. This is a huge, huge, huge life-changing deadline that's about to happen. The ISO 222 deadline is November 2025. The deadline to implement ISO 222 for cross-border payments on the SWIFT networks is November 2025. This marks the end of the coexistence period between where both message type and message exchange messages were supported. As of this deadline, all payment instructions exchanged on the SWIFT network must be in the ISO 222 format. What is the ISO 222? By now, you may have heard that ISO 222 is coming and will set a new global standard for payments by providing a common language for banks, clients, and market infrastructures to communicate with each other. Key compliance dates are now July 2025, but now they've moved it to November 2025. Are you ready to adopt ISO 222 payment instructions with the November 2025 deadline fast approaching? Corporations are trying to figure out how to do this. Banks are trying to figure out how to get compliant. They're all pushing, they're all going, and wait to see where this is going. ISO 222, a single standardized approach, methodology, process, repository to be used by all financial standards initiatives. Can ISO 222 support crypto transactions? Now, y'all think about this. What if we're moving towards the implantable chip? There's going to be needing to have a new constitutional rights for people because what it means to be human is going to change. Wait till we get into this. Yes, ISO 222 can support crypto transactions, particularly for those compliant with the standard. While no cryptocurrency is currently ISO 222 compliant in the strictest sense, its adoption is enabling crypto blockchains to gain mainstream adoption. But wait till you see who's compliant. Is ISO 220 Could ISO 222 facilitate the move into a cashless society? Yes. ISO, that's going to be the deadline, November 2025, can facilitate the move towards a cashless society by standardizing financial messaging and improving efficiency in digital payments. Are y'all ready? This standardization can lead to increased adoption of digital payment methods, reducing reliance on cash. From Binance Square, cryptocurrencies could now be stored under your skin. U.S. companies Dangerous Things and VivoKey have developed a way to store cryptocurrency. Apex Wallet is implanted under the skin and allows you to securely store and send Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies using NFC and RFID technologies. He notes that the main obstacle to widespread adoption of this technology is the lack of obvious use cases for most people. However, he emphasizes that implanted chips provide a high level of security that could protect you from cyber attacks and convenience since they cannot be lost or stolen. And I'm going to show this again. I've shown it before, but Ripple XRP is a cryptocurrency, and cryptocurrencies can be supported by ISO 222 that can lead to a cashless society. Ripple XRP is a cryptocurrency that now has an implantable RFID chip that you can put under your skin and store your cryptocurrencies,
where we showcase our innovative solution for the future of digital payments. Our project is called How Ripple CBDC Chip Implants Can Transform Your Life. Ripple is a company that provides solutions for central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, and stablecoins, which are digital versions of fiat currencies that are backed by reserves or assets. Ripple's CBDC platform offers a comprehensive platform for minting, managing, transacting, and each solution is built on a private ledger that is based on XRP ledger technology, a proven blockchain that has transacted over 70 million times over the course of 10 years, and is trusted by financial institutions around the world. Ripple is currently working with more than 20 countries on CBDC plans, including Palau and Montenegro, who have chosen to partner with Ripple to create their national digital currencies. One of the key benefits of CBDCs and stablecoins is that they can enable faster, cheaper, and more inclusive payments for millions of people who are unbanked or underbanked. According to the International Monetary Fund, IMF, CBDCs in developing countries have the potential to bank large unbanked populations and boost financial inclusion. But how can you access these digital currencies in a convenient and secure way? That's where Ripple CBDC chip implants come in. A chip implant is a small device that is inserted under your skin and contains a unique identifier and a secure cryptographic key. With a chip implant, you can store, send, and receive CBDCs and stablecoins using your own body as a wallet. You can also use your chip implant to authenticate yourself, access services, and make transactions without the need for passwords, cards, or cash.
Do y'all see all this coming together? Wait till y'all see the rest that's coming together and what this is building. Augmented body surveillance, human microchip implantations, and the omnipresent threat of function creep. Human microchip implants create augmented bodies that can be subject to surveillance. From Binance, a major financial reset is on the horizon, which could involve a significant banking collapse. And we're hearing that all the world economies are about to collapse underneath the global debt. A major financial reset, they're going to collapse it all once all these pieces are in place. A major financial reset is on the horizon, which could involve a significant banking collapse. Traditional fiat currencies may become worthless, and the global economy is shifting towards a new financial system that's going to implement November 2025 based on the quantum financial system. As part of this transformation, digital assets like XLM, XRP, and Algo and XDC, known as ISO 222 compliant coins, are expected to play a central role in daily transactions and rapid payments. And what is happening with Trump's tariffs? It could push the world to the brink. U.S. tariffs threaten to push debt-distressed nations closer to the brink. The uncertainty surrounding potential tariffs may be more damaging than the tariffs themselves, drying up liquidity and forcing painful choices for indebted nations. Are world economies on the brink from global debt? Yes, world economies are facing a global threat from global debt, with public debt levels approaching 100% of GDP by the end of the decade, according to the International Monetary Fund. This situation, particularly for developing countries, poses risk macroeconomic stability and could lead to a lost decade of economic slowdown and austerity measures. Digital currencies, including both cryptocurrencies and CBDCs, could potentially play a significant role in stabilizing and strengthening the global economy. The Council on Foreign Relations, the CFR, says cryptocurrency digital dollars is the future of money. Banks are shifting quickly to crypto as the new ISO 222 rules loom. Is ISO 222 related to crypto? Yes, ISO 222 is related to cryptocurrencies, particularly in the context of cross-border payments and financial messaging. While cryptocurrencies themselves aren't inherently ISO 222 compliant, the standard's adoption by financial institutions is creating new opportunities and challenges for blockchain-based solutions, including cryptocurrencies. How will ISO 222 affect cryptocurrency? ISO, that's coming November 2025. ISO 222, a global standard for financial messaging, is expected to significantly impact cryptocurrency industry, primarily by promoting interoperability and mainstream adoption. By standardizing how banks and financial institutions communicate, it can facilitate smoother and more secure transactions between traditional financial systems and cryptocurrency platforms. This could lead to faster, cheaper, and more efficient international payments and potentially enhance the legitimacy and trust in cryptocurrencies. Could ISO 222 continue if cash is eliminated? Yes, ISO 222 could continue to function even if cash is eliminated. If the world economies collapse and the ISO 222 is in place, it can save the economies. Yes, ISO 222 could continue to function even if cash is eliminated, even if they collapse all the world cash economies. ISO 222 is a global standard for financial messaging, not a payment method itself. It defines a standardized format for transmitting financial information, including details about payments, regardless of the underlying payment method. Ripple, XRP, Ripple compliance and ISO 222 drive XRP integration into traditional financial system. You know, with Ripple XRP, our digital implant allows you to store your crypto. Ripple compliance with the new payment system ISO 222 that tracks financial transactions could drive XRP integration into traditional financial systems. Initially developed as a messaging standard for traditional financial institutions, the concept of ISO 222 gradually extending into the crypto sector. The crypto-related companies like Ripple have become a part of the global messaging standard for financial transactions. The crypto payments company announced its membership in May 2022. At the time, Ripple emphasized its compliance with ISO standard would allow RippleNet clients to access a network of global financial institutions through a unified API for all counterparty transactions. ISO 200 is XRP ISO 222 compliant. Following Ripple's compliance with ISO 222, some community members speculate that XRP is also compliant with the messaging standard. Some commentators, including Ben Armstrong, have conferred the title ISO 222 compliant coin on XRP due to Ripple's involvement with the concept. Ripple that has the implantable chip. The cyborg shopper. Is it the future or just a blip? We'll be paying with your hand with cryptocurrencies in a new ISO 222. let's keep going. This is going to get crazy. This is from USA Today from yesterday. Trump crypto dinner, black ties, a Chinese billionaire, and ethics questions. This is from yesterday. Referencing Donald Trump's business moves while in office, an ethics expert said his is one of the most blatant and appalling instances of selling access to the presidency I've ever seen. President Donald Trump held an exclusive dinner for top investors in the Trump cryptocurrency. Trump is in the crypto game. President Donald Trump dined, this is from yesterday, dined with 222 investors. The President of the United States, who has his own cryptocurrency, met with 220 investors for his cryptocurrency, who plowed a combined $148 million into his crypto venture, boosting the growing crypto industry and inviting a torrent of criticism about the ethical implications. Y'all think about this. The President of the United States has his own cryptocurrency that is apart from the United States government official currency. And he's meeting with 220 billionaires to invest in his alternative method of payment apart from the U.S. country. The black tie dinners with the wealthy are nothing new for Trump, but this event, which took place on the evening of May 22nd at his golf club in Sterling, Virginia, stood out among the annuals of presidential dining. The dinner with the president was a reward for making the leaderboard in a contest to be among the top purchasers of Trump meme coin, a type of cryptocurrency. The top 25 buyers spent more than $111 million and were granted a private VIP reception with Trump, while the top 4 also received a limited edition of Trump Turbo Billion watch that sells for $100,000. And the attendees were not revealed. About 100 protesters, including Democrats and ethic experts, staged a protest at the club's entrance as guests arrived. Some held signs that read, "Stop Crypto Corruption," "America's Not for Sale," and "Release the Guest List." The White House declined to release a list of the attendees, arguing Trump did not host the dinner in his official capacity, with trillions at his disposal. Y'all remember that? Critics say the dinner provided a way for the wealthy to influence the president by funneling money to his businesses, an affiliate of the Trump Organization and company Fight, LLC, on 80% of the meme coins. Senator Jeffrey Merkley, a Democrat from Oregon, who's among the protesters, called the dinner a stunning display of corruption. The White House and President Trump are selling access to the government for personal profit. Everyone wants to know who was at this secretive dinner. Democrat senator calls the event close to the top of the most corrupt things this president has done. Let's move this. Trump dines with top meme coin holders, shrugging off critics. Everybody is strategizing, making their Bitcoin crypto moves before the ISO 222 rolls out that can be implemented with RFID payment chips that can stabilize the government if the world economies fall, that can protect against crypto cyber attacks, that can be more. Do y'all see where we're going? Do you see where this is all coming together? Which makes this more understandable. The UN, Bill Gates, and Rockefeller Foundation launched the 50 and 5 agenda to make digital IDs, vaccine passports, and CBDCs mandatory to participate in society by 2030. Now that makes more sense. The United Nations Sustainability Goals, Bill Gates, who's funding all of this, the Rockefeller Foundation launched the 50 and 5 agenda to make digital IDs, vaccine passports, CBDCs mandatory to participate in society by 2030. Oh, yeah. And the Real ID Act just got fully implemented. Y'all remember that just happened last month, I think, the Real ID? And we did a video that digital ID is the foundation for digital currencies. So the digital currency could not roll out until a digital ID or something that can be transferred to a digital ID rolls out. On November 8, 2023, a virtual launch event took place for what was termed the 15-5 Agenda. The United Nations, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, partners of the Rockefeller Foundation, are launching a campaign to accelerate digital ID, digital payments, and data sharing rollouts in 50 countries under the umbrella of digital public infrastructure by 2028. The United Nations Development Program has announced plans to roll out digital IDs worldwide. The UN wants worldwide adaptation to digital ID by 2030, and they will be mandatory for people who wish to participate in society. Y'all remember this from Biometric Update? Digital ID is part of a social contract between government, citizens, World Bank Verizon chief said. And I said this a couple of times. I will not break a covenant with the holy God that my body is the temple of the Holy Ghost. Render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, and unto God which is God's. Our bodies do not belong to the government. We do not augment our body. We do not alter our body. We do not change our body so that we can play stupid games and win stupid prizes with evil people. I will not break a holy covenant with a holy God that offers eternal salvation to those who obey him, and turn my back on that covenant with God to sign a contract, a social contract with a corrupt world that is perishing and going to hell anyway. I'm not going to participate in it. They can do what they got to do, but I'm not disobeying God in this. April 30th, 2025, about 3 weeks ago, President Trump opens the door to suspending habeas corpus, an aggressive move used by 3 previous presidents to conduct mass deportations of illegals. Y'all, if he suspends habeas corpus on one group of people, it'll be extinct. It will be dissolved for everybody. And habeas corpus gives you a fair representation in the courts. It gives you the right to defend yourself, to see evidence against you, to have a fair trial. But if it goes away for one group, it's going away for everybody. So this digital currency, this digital ID will be needed for a social contract to participate in society. And at the same time, running parallel with this is Trump talking about suspending habeas corpus, which is guaranteed to us under the Constitution. Then Trump is asked if he has to uphold the U.S. Constitution that the president's taken oath to. Donald Trump responds, I don't know. Trump said on NBC News Meet the Press that he's following lawyers' advice as he tries to execute rapid deportations, arguing that giving immigrants due process is time-consuming. So just charge somebody with something and throw them to the lines and don't give them a right to defend themselves. So what if people that don't want to take the digital ID, the digital currency, become the new targets of the government, and there's no habeas corpus to give you a fair chance in the court system, and you're just hauled off and sent somewhere because you don't have the right to due process, and the president says he doesn't know if he has to uphold the Constitution and due process. They're setting up for something and eliminating your constitutional rights for protection from it. Now, this was from December 27, 2021. China develops first AI judge that can decide people's innocence with 97% accuracy. Now imagine, you wouldn't need habeas corpus because AI would just automatically determine if you are guilty or innocent, and AI is accurate. Despite having an incredibly high rate of accuracy, local judges in China warned that any mistakes could have proved costly, with no clear idea of figuring out who would be to blame. Now, remember, this wasn't illegals. Trump says, this is April 16th, homegrowns are next. Trump hopes to deport and jail U.S. citizens abroad. President Trump says his administration is actively exploring a proposal to detain U.S. citizens and send them to prison in El Salvador. Do y'all see what it's setting up? It's setting up. The Bible is setting up that those who do not want to worship the beast or take his image or his name or his mark or his number, they shall be killed. You will hear of wars, rumors of war, famine, pestilence, and then you shall be handed over and shall be persecuted. Persecution is coming. Scripture says that there's coming a time when they will kill you and think they are serving God. They want all the rebellious people that are opposed to their system to be taken care of. And Trump is talking about eliminating habeas corpus that would give you a fair trial, and just talking about sending you as citizens somewhere without a fair trial. This is all converging. Do y'all see what's being built? DeLeo sees once in a lifetime collapse of the economic and political order. April 8, 2025. The collapsing of everything so the new thing can roll out. April 28, 2025, Trump orders Pete Hegseth and Pam Bondi to determine how military can be used in domestic law enforcement. President Donald Trump directed Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth and U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi to determine how the United States military could be used for domestic law enforcement on Monday. In an executive order titled Strengthening and Unleashing American Law Enforcement to Pursue Criminals. So if you don't want to take their digital ID, if you don't want to worship the beast or his image, you will be a criminal. And they are planning to roll out the military on the streets for criminals and protect innocent citizens. Trump issued several directives, including the establishment of legal defense mechanism for law enforcement officers and a crackdown on state and law officials who willfully and unlawfully direct obstruction of criminal law. Do y'all hear this? He's going to go after law enforcement officers at state and local levels that would be willing to fight for citizens' protection. He's willing to go after them for obstruction. President Trump ordered Pete Hegseth and Bondi to determine how military and national security assets and personnel can most effectively be utilized to prevent crime. The president wrote by executive order how to use the military against U.S. citizens. From Newsweek, Donald Trump's new order sparks martial law concern. President Donald Trump's has ordered federal agencies to increase the flow of military and national militarization of policing across the United States. Research into militarized police forces has found the practice can erode public trust, escalate encounters between police and citizens, and blur the distinction between military operation and domestic law enforcement. This executive order specifically has increased fears around an encroachment towards martial law. Here's more things converging and how it's all going to play a part to everything. Elon Musk's Starlink goes live in Bahrain. Satellite internet service awaits regulatory approval from the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia. Where did Trump and Elon just go? The EAU in Saudi Arabia, and now Starlink is there. Starlink satellite internet service has been activated in another Middle East and North African country, continuing its recent run of providing advanced communication in the region. Starlink is now available on all 7 continents, including Antarctica. How blockchain, that's going to run digital currencies and digital IDs and RFID chips. How blockchain and Starlink could change our lives. Blockchain technology and Starlink, Elon Musk's satellite internet constellation, are 2 groundbreaking innovations with the potential to transform various aspects of our lives. Did we ask for this? Did we ask to be transformed? The convergence of blockchain technology and Starlink's global internet coverage represents a significant step forward in the digital transformation of our world. Can Starlink be used with digital transactions, CBDCs, digital currencies? Yes, Starlink can facilitate digital transactions by providing the necessary internet connectivity. It allows for the use of various digital payment methods, including mobile money and a traditional credit debit cards, enabling access to online banking, mobile payments, and e-commerce in remote areas. Every square inch of the world will be monitored by Starlink, and you won't have no excuse on not to be part of it. Can Starlink be used in vaccine compliance? Y'all remember Bill Gates 50 and 5? Compliance with vaccines, with CBDCs, with digital IDs, digital currency. You won't be able to participate in society if you don't have it. Can Starlink be used in vaccine compliance? Yes, it's all converging. Starlink's reliable and wide coverage internet service can be used to support vaccine compliance efforts. And now the World Health Organization just wrote the treaty. Trump is releasing our own vaccines. He's partnered up with Starlink. Starlink's reliable and wide coverage internet service can be used to support vaccine compliance efforts in various ways, including in remote areas where traditional internet infrastructure is lacking. They're on all 7 continents. Specifically, Starlink can help with tracking vaccine shipments, facilitating communication between healthcare providers and patients, and enabling digital health technologies for vaccination programs. Starlink militarization and its impact on global strategic stability. In this piece, 2 researchers from PLA-affiliated National University of Defense Technology argue that Starlink will negatively impact global stability in light of its clear military applications. Could Starlink connect cyborgs to the IoT? If you have an RFID chip, you're a cyborg. If you have a Neuralink, you're a cyborg. Yes, Starlink's direct-to-cell service could potentially connect cyborgs to the IoT, as it aims to provide global cellular connectivity even in areas with limited or no traditional cell service. This connectivity could be crucial for monitoring and managing the advanced technologies integrated into a cyborg's body. So if you don't have the internet, Starlink is going to be the internet on your phone. Tracking and tracing. Y'all remember the first pandemic? They downloaded the health app on everybody for contact tracing. Well, now there won't be no place to hide because Starlink is on every continent. Is RFID chip implants cyborgs? Yes, some people consider RFID implants to be a form of cyborganization, though it's a relative early stage compared to more extensive augmentations. While they don't provide the same level of functionality as complex cyborg technologies, they do represent a step towards integrating technology with the human body. And XRP has the payment system with the RFID chip. Once you become a cyborg with your chip or technology in you, Starlink can be used to connect your implantable technology to the worldwide computer, connect you to the IoT to make you part of the beast system. Elon Musk wants Tesla and Neuralink that can connect you to the IoT to make you part of the beast system, to build a cyborg body to turn amputees into bionic man. Will Neuralink work with implanted RFID chip in your hand? A system could be developed where a user's Neuralink could interpret specific brain activity patterns and trigger actions controlled by the RFID chip, like unlocking a door with a thought. Theoretically, information from a Neuralink could be linked to an RFID chip's identifier, allowing for more personalized data collection or access control. This says Neuralink's top surgeon reveals his own RFID chip implant. So a Neuralink employee reveals he got an RFID chip implant. Not a Neuralink plant, but he took an RFID chip implant.
You have an RFID chip implanted in you.
Yeah.
So I hear. Nice. So this is
a little subtle thing.
It's a passive device that you use. What's the story behind it?
One of the early use cases was storing private crypto wallet keys and whatever.
Okay. He first got it to store his cryptocurrencies. What does Ripple XRP have? Ripple XRP is compliant with the new ISO 222 system that's going to roll out in November. It can store cryptocurrencies in your body. XRP has it. He said he originally got this Neuralink top surgeon reveals he got an implant to store his cryptocurrency in. The ISO 222 can support cryptocurrencies if the world economies collapse. And he's smiling and telling you why he took this chip.
One of the early use cases was storing private crypto wallet keys and whatever. I dabbled in that a bit and had some fun with it.
So you have some Bitcoin implanted in your body somewhere, you can't tell where. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, yeah. It was, the modern day equivalent of finding change in the sofa cushions. The primary use case is mostly as a tech demonstrator. It has my business card on it. You can scan that and touching it to your phone. It opens the front door to my house, whatever, simple stuff.
Why does Starlink have infrared lasers? That's like a weaponized system. Starlink satellites use infrared lasers for communication between themselves, forming a mesh network in space. This allows them to transmit data at high speeds and maintain global coverage. I put, can Starlink infrared lasers be weaponized? While Starlink satellites themselves are not designed or equipped as weapons, their communication lasers and the overall constellation could potentially be used or adopted for military purposes in several ways. Can military Starlink be used for surveillance? Yes, military Starlink, specifically the Starshield version, that's what the military version is called, Starshield, could be used for surveillance, according to a Reddit post and an article on a Chinese website. Starlink's high-resolution cameras and ability to pick up individual cell phone signals all over the world can make it a potential surveillance tool, especially for disaster response and intelligence gathering, or looking for enemies of the state. Additionally, Starlink low latency connections are being used by Ukrainian forces for real-time control of drones, highlighting its potential for military surveillance and reconnaissance. Now remember, Starlink can connect cyborgs, which is people with Neuralink chips or RFID chips. They are now considered cyborgs. Neuralink can connect you to the IoT. The IoT will be like this giant cloud, like you send your pictures to the cloud or your backup documents to the cloud. IoT is going to be this invisible thing that every single person, every electronic device will be connected. Okay? And Elon Musk cyborg people and RFID implanted people can be connected to this global Internet of Things, the IoT. And it's also the Internet of Bodies when your body becomes part of the Internet of Things. Elon Musk predicts that 1 million humans will be augmented by the Neuralink chip by 2030. The same time that Bill Gates says you're going to have everything to participate in society, in this societal contract that will connect everybody to a centralized computer system with blockchain recordings of every single transaction on the planet. You want to trade an old notebook with your next door neighbor. Here, I don't use this notebook anymore. You're going to have to scan it. They're going to have to scan it. Every single transaction is going to be on the blockchain. You go to your neighbor's house. Hey, do you have a roll of toilet paper I can borrow? I'm out of toilet paper. You're going to have to scan everything. They are going to know every move you make. It's all going to be recorded on the IoT, on the blockchain, and people that have been augmented with implantable technology will be connected to this system. This is why you cannot get it. You will lose what it means to be human. I typed in, could Neuralink upload fake memories? Yes, theoretically, a Neuralink device could potentially upload false memories into a person's brain. You're going to be connected to a computer. They can upload, download your convictions about what you think is right from wrong. They can erase that. As our current understanding of brain activity and memory encoding is not precise enough to guarantee the accuracy of any uploaded information, raising a significant ethical concerns about potential manipulation and misinformation. Make you believe a lie. Neuralink files a trademark for telepathy, a glimpse into mind-controlled future. May 15, 2025. Launch of Neuralink's United Arab Emirates Prime in Abu Dhabi marks a powerful moment for the future of health. They have started Neuralink test in Abu Dhabi. Chairman of the Department of Health, Abu Dhabi, has stated that the launch of Neuralink's UAE Prime clinical trial in Abu Dhabi, the first international site outside of North America, marks a powerful moment for the future of health. Trump just came out of the United Arab Emirates, and now they've got Starlink set up, and now they're going to start doing Neuralink tests for Elon Musk. Harnessing the future, the benefits of integrating Neuralink, Starlink, and blockchain technology is all converging. As the pace of technological advancement accelerates, humanity stands on the precipice of a transformative era. Neuralink, Starlink, and blockchain, three groundbreaking innovations, represent not only individual triumphs, but also synergistic potential to redefine global connectivity, redefine it, healthcare, education, and more. When integrated, these technologies promise to address some of humanity's most pressing challenges, creating a more inclusive, equitable, and advanced world. Abu Dhabi, we are launching our first clinical trial in the Middle East at Cleveland Clinic, Abu Dhabi.
This Middle East meeting
with Trump and Saudi Arabia, there is so much news circulating. I'm sure you're all hearing it, but there has been an article from the Jerusalem Post saying that Trump is going to announce a Palestine state. Amir Sarfati, surprisingly, he did say, is the Jerusalem Post spreading fake news, or is this for real? By the end of next week, we'll know. Either the Jerusalem Post is unreliable, as he has believed it has been for a long time, or we are witnessing the sharpest U-turn by a U.S. president I've ever seen, is what he has said. And journalists are reporting this news too. This is incredible stuff. And Kushner is also pushing Trump to sign agreements normalizing diplomatic relations with Israel. Folks, this is getting pretty wild. So keep your eyes peeled, because this week coming up is going to be pretty big.
When America leads with strength, the world takes notice. The Saudi prince in the room stood in honor of President Trump's fight for peace. And the Saudi prince wants a two-state solution. May 10th, 2025, Trump may recognize a Palestinian state. Might President Trump shock the world once again and recognize a Palestinian state next week? Trump claims to be a Christian, but a Christian sees a problem with this. Scripture says, "Thou shalt not divide the land." This is God's word, not me, not my opinion. So y'all just, if you have a problem with it, go take it with the word of God. Go open up these scriptures and argue with the word of God, okay? I didn't write this. I didn't say it. This is what the word of God says, and I'm honoring what is written in the word of God. The Bible emphasizes that the land of Israel was given to the Israelites by God and should not be permanently sold because it belongs to God. This is stated in Leviticus 25:23, and Trump might divide the land. Additionally, the concept of the land being God's and not to be divided indefinitely is also found in Genesis 15:18 through 21. The idea of God's ownership of the land is also expressed in various passages throughout the Bible, highlighting that the land was given to the Israelites as a gift and should not be permanently alienated. Leviticus 25:23, the land shall not be sold in perpetuity, for the land is mine. It emphasizes that the land is God's and should not be permanently owned or sold. This Genesis 15:18 through 21, this passage describes God's promises to Abraham to give the land to his descendants, highlighting the concept of sacred covenant and God's ultimate ownership. Other biblical passages, the Bible contains various passages that reinforce the idea of God's ownership of the land, including those related to the Israelites' experience in the promised land and their relationship to God. Division and judgment. The Bible also warns against dividing the land, with verses in Joel 3 and other places suggesting that God will judge those who divide the land he has given to his people. Joel 3:2. I will gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. NIV says, and divided my land. New Living Translation, dividing my land. English Standard, have divided my land. Berean Standard, divided my land. New King James, divided my land. And Trump may divide the land. And The Prince of Saudi Arabia is pro two-state solution, and Trump has been making deals with him. And now Trump may divide the land. And Trump signs the guest book at the Abrahamic family house.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's like in the old, just a lot heavier.
So your message to people of Abu Dhabi?
Well, it's just a message of unity when you look at what we've just seen. It's great unity, great faith. They're incredible people with a tremendous leader who's a friend of mine. Thank you very much, everybody.
So Trump signed the Abraham family house, where the uniting of Jews, Christians, and Muslims. That property was built to unify the religions together. Y'all, I'm tired. And Trump signed the guest book, basically putting his seal of approval on it, as he's talking about dividing the land and bringing peace and getting a standing ovation from the Saudi prince for wanting to divide the land. And this guy is warning about the incoming Noahide laws and Trump in the International Divine Court that Israel asked him to establish.
So, ChatGPT, I recently heard that Donald Trump was invited by the Jewish Sanhedrin to an international divine court in Israel. Is this correct?
Yes, that's correct. The nascent Sanhedrin invited Donald Trump to support the creation of an international divine court based on the 7 Noahide laws.
Ah, yes, the 7 Noahide laws. We find this in the Jewish Talmud, correct?
Yes, the 7 Noahide laws are derived from Jewish tradition and are found in the Talmud.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. The consequences for breaking one of these Noahide laws would be capital punishment. Is that correct?
In ancient interpretations found in the Talmud, breaking the Noahide laws is described as warranting capital punishment. However, these interpretations are not reflective of modern practices.
But according to Sanhedrin 57A, that capital punishment is decapitation, correct?
Yes. In Talmud Sanhedrin 57A, decapitation is mentioned as a form of capital punishment for breaking the Noahide laws.
Now, the first Noahide law would be, thou shalt not commit idolatry, correct?
Yes. The prohibition of idolatry is one of the 7 Noahide laws.
Now,
and y'all remember last year when Trump was campaigning, he said, haul out the guillotine for his enemies. Everything is converging. The political climate, the religious climate, the financial climate. It's all changing. It's all moving towards a one world government. Everything is coming to this point that we're at right now, where choices are going to have to be made. Some things to think about. The mark of the beast is not coming in with a bang. It won't appear suddenly, and it won't have warning lights. The mark of the beast will arrive in disguise. It will be justified with logic. It will be sold as security, wrapped in innovation. They'll call it progress, but it'll be obedience in disguise. Obey or die. Control systems are not imposed. They are offered as benefits. A chip in your hand, just to make you pay easier. Facial recognition, just to keep you safe. Centralized digital currency, just to modernize the economy. The social credit score, just a reward for good behavior. Mandatory digital identity, just to simplify procedures and keep you safe. Smart cities, just to make your life more efficient. Biometric scans at access points, just for your safety. Global health passports, just to control the spread. AI monitoring your post, just to avoid misinformation. 100% cashless society, just to speed up consumption. Restricted access without a scanner, just for the sake of safety. Drones watching you from the sky, just to detect threats. Microchips in children, just to prevent kidnapping. Voice recognition at home, just to help you with your homework. Just to say, Alexa, turn off the TV. Alexa, dim the lights. Voice recognition at home, just to help you with your homework or talk to Alexa or control the air conditioner or whatever. Technology that reads your emotions, just to take care of your mental health. It all sounds so useful. Everything looks so harmless until one day they tell you, do it or you will be left out. Do it or you're going to be left out of society in 2030. It was never about your well-being. It has always been about control. And Revelation 13:17 warns us that no man could buy or sell but the one who had the mark, the digital ID that's going to connect to all things. This is how it begins. Not with chaos, not with fulfillment, not with violence, but with fear. Survival will be the perfect excuse for submission. This is not paranoia, it's preparation. Because if you wait until it's obvious, then it will be too late. Choose this day whom you will serve, because compromise will cost you your soul. Your spirit came to fight, not to obey demons blindly. It's the convergence, where men will become machines, where all human beings will be connected to a worldwide computer, where everything you do will be monitored, your compliance will be enforced, or you will be cut off from everything. And if you don't go along with this system that they're building, you will be an enemy of the state, may be guilty for violating NWO laws. That will be decapitation. It's all converging. Are you going to make a choice? And what will that choice be? To obey God or obey man? Peter says we must obey God.
In a vision of the future, I saw in a vivid dream that the hour is soon coming when men will become machines. A new world order will rise and then demand that all the
This is Revelation 13:15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Are they going to die from Noahide law for not being obedient to worshiping him? And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. And the people that would not take it or bow down, and would not worship him, would not worship the man, would not worship the beast, they would be killed. Revelation 19:20 though, so if you're on the earth and you don't take the mark, the man is going to kill you. But if you take the mark, God is going to kill you. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that walked miracles before him, which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. Both these were cast alive into the lake of fire, burning with brimstone. Revelation 14:9 through 11. And the third angel followed him, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture, not diluted, into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever, and they have no rest day or night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. The Bible says if you try to hold on to your life on this earth and take the mark, you're going to lose your life. But if you're willing to lose your life, you're going to find your life. Matthew 10:28 says, Don't be afraid of those who can kill your body, because you don't want to take the mark of the beast, but who cannot kill the soul. But be afraid of him who can destroy both the body and soul in hell. Everything is converging. Prophecy is unfolding. The New World Order. Everything is converging to the point of a choice having to be made. Who are you going to serve? Who are you going to obey? Because the choice is about to have to be made. And our days of being able to warn and to tell the truth are getting shorter and shorter. And I pray that the ears would hear what the Spirit is trying to say, and the eyes would have discernment on what the Spirit is trying to show us, and that my videos are not to create fear, but to empower you with strength from the Holy Ghost to say, no, I will not serve the devil. I'm going to follow after God, no matter the cost. That's our only two choices. Obey men and be an enemy of God and live for a short while and then be cast into hell, or obey God, potentially die, but have everlasting life. Follow after Jesus. We will not compromise in Jesus' name. May the Spirit of God be upon us in boldness, and the great mercy of God and great grace be upon us in Jesus' name. If you are fed by the content that I bring on this channel, if your spirit is fed, would you prayerfully consider a love offering? I love y'all. God bless y'all in Jesus' name.